believe electronic dance music, also known as EDM, along with its rave scene, to be a newly emerging music culture. Yet this is not the case. Dance music and raves have heavy influences from many historical music movements. This evolution of music fascinates me, and I'd like to share with you all today how it got started. In the 1950s, the term rave came about, yet it had a different meaning then. Raves were considered wild bohemian parties, basically where crazy people got together in crazy places and did crazy things to crazy music. Um, at this time, there was much social and political tension. Many of you might be familiar with the Beatnik Revolution. Because of all this, during this time, there's many young people who were basically just looking for artistic outlets to take out their frustrations on their society. At this time, these, these ideas were considered outrageous by many old adults. 10 years later, in the 1960s, psychedelic music and the idea of raves slowly began making their way into mainstream culture. This can be summed to Paul McCartney of the Beatles when he wrote and performed a song for Carnival of Light, which was a rave of that time. A few years later, in 1969, Woodstock came about. Woodstock was a music festival that further implemented the ideas of peace, love, and congregation through music. Unfortunately, along with this came a very heavy and prominent drug culture. This drug culture was further enforced in the 1980s by the acid house movement. This movement involved many youthful teens in revolt against their families and society. They participated in underground events similar to raves and took part in a lot of drug use. Drugs like LSD and MDMA became very popular. Around the same time, back in the UK, the raving scene was growing. A writer of The Guardian sums up this rapidly growing nightlife scene to simply just the decline of the textile industry. Basically, empty warehouses were freeing up and ready-to-party ravers were throwing their events. This made raving very accessible to most anyone. Ultimately, this is what paved the way to current-day rave culture. Today, raves are considered much more socially acceptable. They occur out in the open, and they're open to just about anyone. One man in particular, Pascal Rotella, can be thanked for this. He is quoted by Rolling Stone as a pioneer in helping bring raves out of the warehouse. Pascal Rotella is the CEO of Insomniac Events, a billion-dollar company that hosts raves all over the world. Some of you might be familiar with one, Electric Daisy Carnival, that takes place all over but ends here in Las Vegas. Rotella quotes EDC to be the happiest place on earth for adults. He puts much emphasis on individuality, similar to the ideas of Woodstock. One thing that's considered a trademark for the rave scene and the rave community is the idea of plur. Plur stands for peace, love, unity, and respect. These ideals were very prominent in 1969 when Woodstock occurred. Here on my poster, I have a poster for Woodstock that reads 3 days of peace and music. As you can see, or as really anyone knows, these ideas were very popular for Woodstock goers, as well as they are for the rave community here today. Of course, technology of today has made raves something more incredible than Woodstock. There's much lights and visuals that go into these playings as long as performers in many various stages and that really make going to raves like EDC a crazy event. They do share similar values, and they also share something else that isn't so great. This is their drug culture. The drug culture through raves and music has remained since the time of Woodstock. It's a prominent symbol in dance music still. All the fun and success has backfired on Pascal Rotella, though. In 2005, he was involved in a lawsuit with a 15-year-old girl who overdosed on ecstasy at one of his events. He was not sued because he does claim that his events are for adults only. I really enjoy going to music festivals and listening to EDM music. I think it's very freeing and expressive. Um, for those of you who look back in time and wish you could have experienced Woodstock or any other big music movement, recognize that you can be part of one now through EDM and the rave community. There's a place for everyone.